Welcome along to the EXFL Tier 2 Season 9 Chinese Grand Prix. We're here for round 5 out of 22. EXFL returns to Shanghai for the first time in 3.5 years. We had the Chinese Grand Prix on the Season 1 and Season 2 calendar in Tier 2. We're in Season 9 now, so yeah, it has been a while. And yet some of these names did manage to contend in either of those races. I remember Ridian was there. Seb was there. So they have driven this track before. But we are back in China for an 80-minute qualifying session followed by a 50% race. I think we're still waiting on Feeks to join. Yep. And Bluey. He's just on home for some reason. Anyway, Tom Jawbish Davies, after getting his first podium, and then 1 week later a P2, unfortunately sped in the pit lane last time out in Japan, got himself a 10-second time penalty, finished 5th in the end. He'll be hoping to claim another podium, maybe even a first win. Warren in the Haas, back at it. Hopefully he'll get some more points on the board. Ridian back in the Ferrari. I'm sure he'll be hoping to keep up the consistent run. Hughes Morgan. Trying to get Feeks in at the moment. Right, yeah, Morgan, who took the lead into turn 1, who was a real challenge for the win until Ben94 overcame that great strategy of his to win the race. All 4 races so far this season have been decided mainly on strategy. Drifting, looking for his first points of the season still on the intermediates, getting out the way of his teammate. Horosia, looking for more point scoring finishers as he is still in the pit lane along with Nathan, who's had 2 points finishes so far this season, finishing 7th I believe last time out. And Seb, championship leader, looking strong, looking consistent as he has been for the last 4 races and the last few races of last season too. AFC Callum in the Ferrari looking to get some more points on the board, and Oren, pole sitter as he was in Saudi, looking to be up the front of the field. And obviously had that tangle going wide on the grass in Japan with Horosia and lost out. So hopefully this time around he can gain ground. There we go, there's Feeks. As Tom sets the pace then, a 1:32 as Morgan by 1.1 seconds goes quicker. Right, there's Feeks, right. Warren, 1.4 down. So yeah, Morgan, just like last week, is setting the pace well, but we have to wait until Seb, who's on the medium compound tyres, to see what he can do as well. Right, just telling Feeks what car to go in. Right, so China, in terms of pole sitters, the first two we had Dan take the first Chinese Grand Prix pole back in season 1, and then for season 2 we had Leo or Endermarch or whatever you want to call him. They're long gone, but anyway, so far this season, Morgan took pole in the opening round. We had Oren take pole in the second, and we've had Seb on pole for the last 2 races as Tom crosses the line to maybe go again. Right, and that should be all the delays. Final check. Right. As Seb, 1.3 seconds down on the medium. So, that is a very good representative time for Morgan then. And it's not like Seb was 0.3 clear on mediums like he was in Australia. He's 1.3 seconds off this time. So I'm sure he'll be able to find a lot of ground. This track is going to warrant a bit bigger of a gap than previous tracks. Obviously, these guys haven't raced on it in a couple years. Or at all for some of them. So it is a new track for a few. Drifting currently on his outlap. Callum invalidated on his lap. Tom, 4 thousandths up in the first sector as he finishes the middle. 12 thousandths down, so he's very similar on his time. Considering those tyres are a bit more used, that's not too bad. As he plunges his way down to the longest straight on the track. Actually, I'm just going to check something with Will real quick. Tom crosses the line. Still 9.5 tenths down on Morgan, but at least he is close to under a second. So he found some time in the last sector. But yeah, that is quite the lap for Morgan. 31.4. China might be a hidden gem for him then. Drifting has started his lap. 24.1. So that looks actually a bit better than Tom's first sector. So we'll see what the second Alpine can do. Alex, who showed great signs of improvement towards the end of last season to get his first podium, just missing out on the win in Texas. 51.9 flat in the middle. Has started this season off kind of disappointingly with 2 P11s, I believe. And missing a couple races. But he's back in China, and I'm sure he can get his first points on the board as he opens the DRS wide open there. And the Haas of Warren just slowing down a bit. So yeah, heavy braking zone into the penultimate corner. Now just gearing up round the final corner. So easy to go wide and invalidate and get it all wrong. But he takes it nicely, and across the line, a 31.4 is the time to beat. It'll be a 32.2 to put him on the front row, and currently it's an Alpine front row lockout. But again, that is quite the deficit to Morgan of 7 tenths. We'll see what Ridian could do on his outlap. Same with Feeks as they're about to begin laps. Same with Warren. Tom back into the pits now. It's quite a common thing, Tom. Usually does 2 runs on the same set of tyres. And speaking of which, on a new set of tyres, the championship leader Seb out onto the track. As starting his lap, Feeks goes into turn 1, as does Ridian. So, riding on board with the Ferrari driver, clocking 200 mile an hour, heading into turn 1. You can hear the sudden lift, but that is quite wide, nearly hitting the grass, which does spin his car, as grass can be quite deadly on this game. The little touch of it and you are round. The slightest touch of it and you're round. And that is Ridian's lap, faulted already. We'll see Feeks, who's nearly onto the grass there. As well as that curb can send you as well. So Feeks will finish his second sector in a couple of seconds' time. As Warren also 51.8. That's pretty good actually from Warren. Considering As actually, yeah, considering drifting did a 51.9 and Warren's doing a 51.8, could we see Warren on the front row? I know there are obviously yet to be more times, but at the moment, Warren looking good. Just keep it through the final 2 corners steadily, and you never know from the Haas driver. Warren, whose career best finish has been, I think, P5 or 6. His career best starting position, I think, 7th. So Warren will cross the line. It will be a 31.9 to put himself on the front row and the closest to Morgan. As Feeks, 2.5 seconds down. Ridian, his time will obviously be a bit off because he had that off at turn 1. He'll cross the line, and I wouldn't be surprised if this puts him, yeah, a couple tenths off Feeks as well. So Callum, currently coming around the final corner, 53.3. So that's currently about 1.4 seconds off the middle sector anyway. He could be anywhere from 6th to 8th. So he'll come around the final corner, already flashing, crosses the line. It's P7 to put himself only 28 thousandths in front of his teammate. We're still waiting for times from Arosio and Nathan. Seb now on his run, 6 tenths up. And that is a really good middle sector from Seb. That's about 3 tenths clear of Warren. So it is going to be very close between Morgan and Seb for pole position. Ha. Is he actually? Is oh, if Tigo's in the stream chat, then hello Tigo. As yeah, Seb, who has raced in a Chinese Grand Prix in EXFL Tier 2 before. I think he finished 8th in that race. He's come a long way, and he's coming around the final corner. Is this provisional pole for the championship leader? Yes, it is, by 33 thousandths. And Seb snatches it back from Morgan like it was in Bahrain. The close margins, but we are yet to see Morgan's second run and see if there's any more time. But lap of the session, as he nearly does a Hamilton, Warren is P3 at the moment. As Ridian might be on another lap. But that looks a bit slow. But he is going to finish the lap then. Round the final corner. It will be a 1 minute 33.2 to put himself 1 second quicker. But 1.7 seconds still down. What about Oren then? Coming through the last sector now. His teammate Nathan on an out lap. Perosia still yet to set a lap. And Tom kind of in the same ballpark as Morgan. But yeah, 33,000. Seb had to work for that one. And China turn 1. It's a little like, as Oren goes P4 there. So good luck from him. It's a little similar to, in terms of you don't have to brake heavily. You just have to lift off kind of. It's a bit like Brazil. Obviously Brazil's a lot more tighter. And you obviously do have to brake more. Silverstone, you don't really have to do anything, really. You just have to turn. You don't have to brake at all. Trying to think of other tracks now. Singapore, I guess, is a little similar. Turn 1, you don't have to heavily brake. Japan, obviously, last time out. Very similar to Japan, actually. But I'd say China is the longest turn 1 of the calendar, I think. It just keeps going on and on. USA, no. Mexico, no. Abu Dhabi, kind of. Vegas, okay. Vegas turn 1 is kind of like that, but again, it's more similar to Singapore than anything. And Qatar, okay. Qatar is also kind of one of those corners where you lift up, but no corner is like the turn 1 at China. They're just kind of similar. It's going off there. Somehow not invalid. Is Callum crossing the line. Finds just under a tenth. But still puts him the slowest. Nathan begins his lap. So right on board with the Aston Martin into turn 1. Slowing down a little bit more than I think he needs to. But it is a very tricky corner to get right. Taking it a lot better than Ridian did at least. Not onto the grass. Through turn 2 now. It's the pretty much opposite way to take turn 1. Climbing through the gears. Finishing sector 1. As it's all about the exit, really. 24.8 into the hairpin. So easy to go run deep and go wide. So hopefully Callum gets out the way. Now the middle sector. Through the flowing S section this is. You don't really want to stick your tyre on the curb. It can easily spin you, especially if you dip it too much onto the grass as well. Tricky two left-handers coming up. Navigates it nicely. Callum gets out the way, and hopefully the Alpine does as well. That is Morgan. And he does. Through the long right-hander. A bit similar to turn 1, actually. But it's so much easier to lose the car there. Now just foot flat to the floor for about 15 seconds worth. DRS open for the Aston Martin now, as the final laps are coming into play. Callum about to begin his. Feek's already invalidated. Nathan, heavy braking then. Penultimate corner. Not hitting the inside curb like I think everyone has done so far. You don't really want to hit it. You just want to kind of go as close as you can around it. Through the final corner then. So easy to, again, go wide. But Nathan's kept it within the bounds of the track and goes P9 to put himself ahead of Callum. Horosia on his outlap. Oren still in the pit lane, but exiting now. So he will be the last car to set a time, if he even has enough time to come across the line. With 1 minute 23. No, I don't think Oren will make it unless he can cut some corners. Warren has just began his lap, or has he? Because he's invalidated. I have no idea what happened to Warren there, but Morgan starts his lap. That's it for Callum. And the outlaps are beginning. You can see Ridian weaving, then Tom drifting behind them as well with Seb. Morgan already embarking on his final run. As yeah, they're all just trying to get out of one's way. Morgan then through the first sector. Has he found any time? Yes, 15,000. Sorosia will start the Grand Prix last. So Morgan, 15,000. He needs to find 18 more if he wants to snatch back pole position. Currently Warren still sits in third, but he is invalidated. And that will be it for him. So Seb round the final corner to start his lap. Drifting will be the last one to cross the line then, because it looks like Oren won't make it. Morgan through the middle sector then. Has he found any more time? It will be a 51.1. He's found 0.2 of a second. And if he can just keep it through the final sector nicely, Morgan could take his second pole of the season. Or will it be Seb to take his third in a row? Seb through the first sector. Has he found any time? 7 thousandths down. It's close. As Oren, 8 seconds away from the line. He's not going to do it. To him and Warren, that'll be it. Morgan through the final couple corners then. He just needs to spot his braking. And he takes that, the best I've seen so far this session. Through the final corner. Warren will be third. Oren fourth at best. Nathan ninth at best. Through the final corner for Morgan. Is this back on pole position for the Alpine? Yes, it is. By 0.4 of a second. It's going to take some beating. And Seb is only 0.75 of a tenth up. So what about drifting? He's half a second up. As we'll see what Tom and Ridian can do as well. So Seb needs a mighty final sector to take back pole position. And currently that goes to Hughes Morgan. Seb then, as he's behind Ridian and Tom. So we'll see what they can do first. Ridian round the final corner. Let's see where he can place that Ferrari. Across the line, it's P4. Warren out qualifies Ridian. What about Tom then across the line? It's P6. So, is it Seb or is it Morgan? It is Morgan Hughes on pole position for the Chinese Grand Prix. Drifting, pops his car to make Alpine in the top 3. Warren, a career best 4th in EXFL Tier 2. I'm sure he'll be very happy with that. And I'm sure Drifting will be happy to be back in the top 3. But it is Morgan on pole and Seb P2. So, Alpine have both cars in the top 3. I'm sure they'll try and use that to great effect when they come to the strategy. And I'm sure Morgan will want Drifting to get ahead of Seb, who hasn't exactly had the greatest of starts recently. Warren, a brilliant P4 to have his best qualifying ever. Ridian P5, just in front of Warren. A 10th in front of Tom. Feeks managed to get 8th. Nathan 9th. And Callum to round out the top 10. I don't know if Erosia left the session or not there. I think he joined back. But yep, dry quali, dry race. I'm sure myself and everyone watching is looking forward to the race. It's going to be an interesting one. Will we have 5 out of 5 races decided on strategy. Race 1, it was Morgan going for the 2-stop, Seb for the 1. Race 2, Kian went long into the race pit for softs at the end, managed to claw back and win. Round 3, Seb pitted early, got the undercut massively. And round 4, Ben pitted under the safety car and stayed out on hards the whole race. We're running out of ways for different strategies to work here, so will it be on race pace this time? Will it be through an actual fight? Or will strategy prevail again? Medium for Ridian, Oren and Tom. Hards for everyone else. Medium switching to for Morgan. And we'll wait for those clicks that signal the start of the Grand Prix. This is the Chinese Grand Prix, round 5 of 22. Seb currently has a 28-point lead to Morgan in the standings. Is this the race where Morgan starts to claw back as he beats Seb in Japan, 2nd to 3rd? Well, now they're lining up 1st and 2nd. This is the Chinese Grand Prix. The 5 lights on. And when they go out, we're away here in China. EXFL Tier 2, back in Shanghai with Morgan leading away. And crashing out of the stars already, Feeks into turn 1. Morgan from Seb from drifting in formation. Ridian up to 4th. Warren dropped down to 6th as he fights with Tom. Wheel to wheel into turn 1 and 2. It's the Alpine and Morgan. And then touching the Ferrari of drifting and Ridian having a collision there. Ridian into 3rd. Drifting gets tagged a little bit from the Ferrari as we enter the hairpin. Drifting stays behind for now, so Ridian gets up into P3 as down the inside. The Aston Martin, I believe of Nathan there, absolutely sending it as Oren drops down the order. Feet spun round already. Morgan from Seb, from Ridian, from Drifting. Warren down to 5th. Tom stays in 6th. Nathan and Callum. Oren, Horosia, and then Feeks. As, yeah, it looks like Nathan absolutely sent it at the hairpin. And it looks like Ridian did tag Drifting into turn 2. As looking further back, Horosia just keeping behind as Feeks lost it on the line. And I think you can see he's got front wing damage there. So, biggest gainer at the moment as Tom gets past Warren. It's a bunch of people who's gained 2 places. But the top 2 already fighting. Morgan weaving here and there as Seb goes to the outside. And Morgan closes the door. Now Seb switches to the inside. As Morgan prevails into P1 as Drifting. Trying to take 3rd back away from Ridian, who just leaves enough space. Who's still on the outside is the Alpine, not getting the start he would have wanted. And it seems like Ridian will hold on to 3rd. So I'm sure Ridian will already be under investigation. Look how many people switched to the mediums before the lights went on. So only Warren, who I guess that explains his bad start. Callum and Horosia on the hards. Already into the pit lane for Feeks. As Callum gets ahead of Warren, who's dropped down more places as Nathan is in the fight with the Ferrari, and Warren goes right up to the gearbox, and that means Oren has hit the back of Warren and gone off for the 2nd race in a row. 1.9 seconds. Yeah, it's a bit too late, Bluey. 1.9 seconds, the gap between the leaders. To Ridian, who's trying to hold on to 3rd. And yeah, that's what I'm saying, is he might be under investigation already for the contact with Drifting on the opening lap. Sent him sideways, gained the position. But we'll have to have another look at that as Tom is joining this fight. And then further back, Nathan holding a bit of a trade down to 9th. Who's under pressure from Callum. Warren on the hard compound tyres going long then. As Nathan is going to try and defend. Now we look to the leaders. DRS activated then on lap 2. Here comes Seb then in the slipstream of Morgan, who moved quite a bit on the opening lap. This time round, he doesn't move at all. As Drifting takes Ridian, Seb takes Morgan. And Drifting is into 3rd. As one Alpine gains, one Alpine loses out. But Morgan has got a pretty good switch. And can he take the lead back? No. He'll go for the switch back, however, as Seb goes off. Now he'll get the DRS. And now he'll have to try and have a go at Seb. But Seb, using a bit more battery, holds on to the lead as we enter lap 3 at turn 1. Drifting then up into 3rd, ahead of Ridian, ahead of Tom. Nathan hangs on to 6th, just about. As to the inside, Callum sends it. This will be a good move if he can make it stick, but Nathan now breaks later. And now they're going to go wheel to wheel as, Warren and Horosia. Is he yellow? Oh, it's Ridian. Something happened to Ridian there. As Nathan and Callum still are wheel to wheel, and it looks like Nathan's just going to hang on. Good battle between the two, but something happened to Iridian there because he's lost out to Drifting and Tom. Don't know if Drifting repaid the favour there and hit him, or Iridian made his own error. Whatever the case, that's left Drifting in a bit more clear air as Tom is 1.5 behind. And this battle between Seb and Morgan is carrying on as Drifting tries to close the gap. Nathan, I'm sure he's really enjoying himself at the moment in 6th, as well as Callum, I'm guessing, in 7th. Erosia looking to fight his way through, but on the hard compound tyres, just can't quite do it as Warren may have had his best qualifying start ever, but the start, not so much. Morgan still behind Seb. What about Callum? They're still behind Nathan. As if they battle enough, Oren may be able to gain back. On to the start-finish straight then. Morgan gaining and gaining. And into turn 1. Morgan retakes the lead ahead of Seb. Will he hang it round the outside? No, he'll stay behind for now. So a key 7-point swing will be going to one of these two at the moment. As a 2-point swing goes to Callum, getting ahead of Nathan, as well as Erosia, as well as Warren. Something happened to Nathan there. He was ghosting. And, well, if you just look at the overtake, he kept it in overtake for turn 1 for some reason, as Warren is trying to have a go at Erosia around the outside. There is a bit of contact, but Erosia stays in front for now. Drifting taking a couple tenths. Tom just doesn't seem to have the pace to gain on these guys. And Iridian's a bit on his own at the moment. Callum will now be the one under pressure from the 3 cars behind. Now it's Seb's turn to fight back at Morgan. Morgan this time does move to the inside and moves back to hold his line. Will Seb go for it to the inside? No, he'll stay behind for now. And if they start to battle, which might be in Morgan's favour to do so, bring Seb back into it, as that's a very unique line. Morgan takes, but I was going to say, is that a bit onto the grass there that made him not have the greatest exit? And now Seb's going to pull out to the left, and will he dare go round the outside of his closest rival in the race? Yes, he will, as Morgan stays behind. So Seb retakes the lead. Morgan's still on the inside there, and it's close to contact. It's just enough room left, and Seb does hold on to the lead, but Morgan is not going to let Seb run away with it this time. And that has allowed Drifting to gain a bit of time as Warren gets in front. Oh, as there is contact between Nathan and Warren, as Morgan does take back the lead. He must have gone to the inside of the hairpin. So the leaders are going to go wheel to wheel now. Morgan round the outside, so close to losing it into one another. Morgan to the outside, Seb round the outside. And he will hold on to the lead then. But that has brought more Drifting back into play. Callum versus Oren. Callum onto the curb there. And that does allow Oren, who spun and was behind all 3 of these, to now be in front, as Erosia is also gone. So Erosia, the big winner of those 4. And yeah, Nathan, the biggest loser at the moment, unfortunately. He had an incident with Warren, I think, into turn 1 that made him spin. A few touches and barges so far as going wide there is Callum. But looking to the front, Morgan taking back the lead from Seb. But now Drifting is in the mix. Seb with the switchback. Stays behind for now. Will he take the lead back into turn 1? Drifting does have the DRS. And Seb is gaining on the Alpine. Will he go to the inside? No, he'll stay behind for now. And now this really is double trouble for Seb, as the Alpines are sandwiching him. And now they can experiment with what they can do with the strategy. One can undercut, one can overcut. What they can't do is really box on the same lap as going wide there. Is Callum losing it there. And losing the opportunity to get in front of Oren, as Warren tries to get back in front. Closest battle seems to be between the top 3, as well as 7th, 8th and 9th. They've all got decent amounts of ERS, mainly the top two. I'm sure Drifting will be able to save some now. As is Morgan trying to give the DRS away from Seb. He's slowing down because you can see how much Morgan's gaining. And he's going to the inside of Seb to try and take second place. There is a bit of contact between Drifting and Seb as they are going wheel to wheel to start the straight. Morgan, who tried to play DRS games as they wanted to both fly past Seb with DRS, is now going to be the one vulnerable. And so I'm sure, look at that, Drifting has blasted everything to get in front of Seb. Will Drifting try and get his teammate, or will he stay behind for now? He goes to the inside. Does he try and get his teammate as he'll send it? And they almost make contact. Actually, Morgan goes off the track there. He gives the place back, and he might lose the place to Morgan, to Seb as well. But he's still on the inside. Seb leaves the space. Feeks goes off there, and Seb also goes off to make sure he doesn't get tagged. It's getting a little serious now, as this might allow Tom to get in the fight too. So Seb, will he try to the inside of Drifting, who's now the new race leader? Drifting has left a bit of a gap, but Seb can't quite squeeze his car to the gap. Morgan literally pushing Seb through the corners. And let alone he's not in the fight. He's literally leading the race. Is Drifting now. Into the hairpin. Seb stays where he is. The two Alpines have swapped. And I'm sure the plan was make it an Alpine 1-2. I'm not too sure the plan was for Drifting to send it on Morgan there. Tom, 2.5 seconds, so he's going to need these three to battle a lot. Ridian currently just keeping the gap kind of constant at the moment. He might be under pressure from Erosio at the end as he's on the better strategy. We have a yellow and it's Feeks again, but he picks it back up. He's going to really need to hope for a safety car. Or VSC wouldn't be able to do it. Right then, Seb with 95% battery. Morgan's actually used a lot of his too, so Seb is in optimal position to retake the Grand Prix lead. And if Alpine have to swap Morgan and Alex to make sure Seb doesn't run away with this, they might have to. Drifting breaks later to the inside and retakes the lead. As there is slight contact between Morgan and Seb, as Morgan had to ghost there. Hopefully he doesn't have any damage. Seb around the outside of Drifting and they get spun. Does Drifting and Seb. Seb manages to carry on, and that does allow Tom to be with Drifting and get in front of him. Seb, who tried round the outside, I don't think he could have really done anything differently there. He gave as much space as possible, and it did look like Drifting went into him. Drifting, who, in terms of wheel-to-wheel battling, haven't seen too much, but what we have seen, sometimes it can go wrong for him. And that was another example. I was about to say, Alpine had the chance until the pit stops to keep with Seb. Now it's back to just one. And that does promote Tom back up into the podium. And yeah, it might have been at least just watching that once. Drifting going too wide, hitting Seb's tyre, and half spinning. It's amazing Seb didn't go around as well. As yeah, things are hotting up in China. And the battle resumes between Morgan and Seb. As Tom will now try and maybe work with Drifting to catch these guys. Maybe the undercut is possible. As Morgan is gaining, he's saved up his battery again. But not close enough as Feeks has retired in the pit lane. As Drifting goes to the inside, Callum gets the first penalty. I will admit that was really good stuff from Drifting on the previous lap to send it back on Seb at the end of that straight. Looked like he got the move done, but no. As Morgan's into the pit lane on lap 8 as Tom is retaking the position on Drifting. As early as lap 8, Morgan is in. Interesting. So Tom fighting for the podium then with Drifting. Callum in as well. So Morgan, yeah, he'll emerge just in front of Nathan, who's managed to actually not blast all his battery. I swear it was Nathan who always used to have his overtake on. Luckily that's not the case now, but he does need to learn a bit where to use it. Definitely not at turn 1. It's only on straights, I guess. As yeah, that's Feeks' car. Pulled off there. There it goes. It disappears. Right, so I didn't know Morgan would stop this early. And I know, obviously, his main intention, it's obvious, it's an undercut. To pull away from Seb. But at some tracks, the undercut is powerful. At others, might not be. The gap, though, 23.2 seconds to Seb. That's getting a bit bigger now. So it'll be interesting to see as Drifting has the DRS. Gaining on Tom. Will he send it to the inside? Yes, he will. Will he go a bit too deep? Yes, he will. And Tom tries the switchback. So Drifting a little too eager on the brakes there. Well, a little too late on the brakes there. As the leaders do not pit. Yeah, I was expecting maybe lap 11 or 10 for the leaders to pit. Not lap 8. Well, on to 9. Ridian, who was about 3.3 behind these guys, is now up to 4. Horosia, who was around 3.5, has gained down to 2 seconds on Ridian. The medium's wearing off. The hards coming into effect for Horosia. Oren, after that spin, could have been with Horosia, maybe even in front. But I'm sure he'll be trying to gain the ground back. Morgan is in free air. It's Callum pit. Wait a minute. Callum started on the hards and he only did like 8 laps. And he's pitted onto the mediums. So those won't go to the end. The gap getting bigger between Seb and Tom. None of them deciding to blast battery to try and gain more on Morgan. What's the gap now? 21.4. So Morgan is gaining. But not massive amounts of time, as Oren does get a 3-second time penalty. I guess those will be kind of crucial towards the end. But yeah, Drifting, who's 0.8 adrift. Can't believe I've never used that one on him before. Opens the DRS. Oh, doesn't open it. There we go. It wasn't open for some reason. And isn't close enough to Tom for a move yet. So, does Seb come into the pits this time? No, he stays out. What about second and third at the moment? Drifting comes in then. Sure. Yeah, I'm very interested to know as Ridian also comes in. Are they allowed to cut that corner and get away with a warning? I'm not too sure. As very slow into the pit in for Ridian. So yeah, but obviously, I was about to say you get a 10-second for speeding, which is Warren has done now. So it's so crucial you really slow down in the pit lane. Morgan already nearly finishing turn 1 as Drifting isn't even exiting the pits yet. As Ridian and Drifting lead the pit lane now. Morgan is quite the gap in front of them. So Morgan only 20 seconds now. So he is going to be about 2-ish seconds in front of Seb. And it's not like Seb is going long because he's on the hards compared to the mediums. He's going to be on the hards as well. So like I said, all races so far this season have been decided on strategy. As Drifting gets past Nathan there, he's gone wide. Is this the strategy of pitting early for the undercut like we saw in round 3? That could gift Morgan the win, because if he just maintains some life and gets a 2-ish, 3-second gap to Seb that he can't claw back and make it to the end, this is what's going to win in the race. Tom, now 5 seconds behind the RB. Seb, does he pit now? Yes, he does. So, it's going to be to no surprise he's going to come out behind Morgan. What will be interesting, as Tom nearly bottles it there. Don't speed. As what will be interesting is where Tom comes out in reference to Drifting. Horosia takes the lead as he's still on the hard compound tyres. As there's Morgan then on the main straight. He'll fly past Seb now, who's exiting the pit lane. And it is going to be a couple seconds gap. And we'll see Drifting in the background there. Where is he in reference to Tom? There's Tom. There's Drifting. Drifting around the outside of the McLaren. And they are nose to tail, but it seems like Tom has the inside line and will hold on to P3. But Drifting's still there. He's on the inside now, and they're close to contact. And they're going to carry this battle on to the hairpin. Couldn't have been any closer between the two as Tom and Drifting fight for P3. As Drifting will switch to the inside, but it seems like Tom has got it, at least for now. And Drifting will just have to sit behind and wait for the DRS any later. and Drifting would have been in front. So, it is a 4-second gap between Morgan and Seb. It's bigger than I actually thought it would be between the two. So, yeah, now it's up to Seb. Can he claw a 4-second gap in 16 laps? And I'm sure Tom and Drifting will be fighting for this podium. As be very interesting to see what Horosia can do. If there's a VSC, that's definitely going to help him. Warren now 13 seconds of pens. The bottom three all with penalties. Ridian closing up to Nathan. He's caught him at a pretty good time for where the DRS is. Drifting gaining in the DRS. Nathan pulls to the right. And it looks like Ridian will get him. Will Drifting get Tom though? Stays behind for now. Whoa! And Drifting had to avoid Tom there. Did Drifting think Tom maybe broke too early? Had to avoid him? Did Drifting, like he has done a lot of this race, break too late? Whatever the case, he's lost the DRS now. The gap is more than double of what you need. Nathan in then. Oren under pressure from Warren, who's on the quicker tyres. 3.7, so Seb is crawling into that gap as we're about to approach the halfway stage. Tom has a little bit of breathing room now. So that might be investigated between Tom and Drifting. The thing between Drifting and Seb might be investigated. At the moment, I think Morgan is fine. I know he had that little bit of contact with Seb's rear into the end of the straight at the end of the lap, but Morgan should be fine. I don't think Seb will get a penalty because nothing he could do. Drifting kind of just went into him. But that was interesting what happened on the last lap. As we have a yellow, and Callum's crashed. And it is a safety car. And that has just played beautifully into Herosia's hands. Callum, who's lost it at, well, those corners, like I said, if you get caught on the curb or the grass, you're going off. And we have a safety car. I mean, Herosia's mediums might be a bit dead towards the end, but that has really helped him. Ridian drive through for speeding. Who was already... Look at that, he's nearly stopped on track. Look how much Oren's gaining on him. Ridian needs to pick it up now. Ridian, who was already annoyed at how much time he was losing to pole. Now he's lost a lot of time. Horosia could come out in 5th at this rate, and he will, on the mediums. Well then, that has really thrown a spanner in the works. Actually, that has really not helped Morgan. It has helped Seb, because that 4-second gap that Seb was going to try and close in for the rest of the race is gone. Now it's just going to be a straight fight. This is going to bring Tom and Drifting back into play as well. It's going to bring Horosia really into the fight. Warren, I don't know why he didn't pit and serve that 10-second. This will bring Nathan back into it. And yeah, I'm sure the person it really affects the most will be Morgan. Alright, and then number 9. Morgan then will lead the restart. Whoa. Okay, when I was thinking of... Hang on. Right, yeah, anyway, Morgan right up close to the safety car there. I was thinking of things... Oh, he's actually alongside it nearly. I was thinking of things Morgan hasn't done this race. He did... Oh, as Ridian gets in front of Warren, who is pitting. Yeah, I was saying Seb and Drifting had something. Tom and Drifting had something. And I was saying Morgan wasn't really involved in anything. But then I thought back to lap 1. Morgan did move quite a lot on that straight to defend from Seb. I don't know if anything will be said about that. But anyway, he's got his work cut out for him now. As the top 4 are going to have to be really critical on what they do here. None of them want to lose DRS to the other. So, how much risk are they willing to take? And I think the biggest threat is going to be Horosia. And maybe Ridian, but he has a drive-through, so he's obviously not going to be a threat. So that'll promote Oren up to 6th. He might get the gap to Nathan, who will be 7th, and Warren will be 8th. And yeah, it's going to be really unfortunate for Ridian. I think he was 5th, 4th, and 3rd, or maybe 4th, 5th, and 3rd so far in the first 3 races before missing Japan. He'll be 9th at worst at the moment. Safety car in this lap then, and Morgan will be gearing up to do the final 13 laps of the Grand Prix. I'm sure any fuel concerns, if any of these guys had any, are gone. And it's going to be a straight fight now. Seb versus Morgan. And maybe Tom and Drifting, and definitely Erosia as well. Right then, here we go. They're all trying to weave, get temperature in. But Morgan will be gearing up to do this restart. And when will he go is the question. They're approaching the final corner to start lap 16. Will he wait until the line? Looks so, because he's not gone yet. Seb waiting for him to go. And now he's gone. Tom right up close to Seb, as is Drifting. Horosia already getting the jump on Drifting nearly. Into turn 1, slight contact. Tom to the inside of Seb, and there is slight contact as Tom nearly gets sent around. Horosia gets overtaken by Ridian, who's in the mix, as there is slight contact between the Sauber and the Alpine. As Horosia trying to stay in front of Ridian, yet to serve his drive-through. But at the moment, it's Morgan from from Seb, who nearly spun Tom into the hairpin then. Drifting with Ridian to the inside, and he looks like he's managed to squeeze past. Horosia can't do anything. But just watch at the moment, and Ridian is still going to be in this fight, even with a drive-through. And round the outside he goes. Oren, then Nathan, then Warren. As Warren all over the back of Horosia, who looked to be the promise of gaining ground. Slight contact between the Aston and Sauber there. Morgan then leads out in front. Seb may have just been able to give enough space there for Tom, but I'm sure Tom may argue he didn't. Ridian in the mix then. Drifting hasn't had the greatest restart. It looked like Horosia was going to get him, and then Ridian managed to have the overspeed. Seb is gaining in the slipstream of Morgan. Morgan trying to stay in front. Seb will go to the inside. Will he break later? Yes, he will. The top 2 in the championship as well as in the race find themselves in battle through the final few corners. Morgan with the better overspeed holds on to the lead. Will Seb try a switch back now? Yes, he will. But he won't use his battery. As falling down the order is Ridian, obviously, to serve his drive-through. As Seb now is to the inside of Morgan. Into turn 1, the 2 leaders. Seb retakes the lead. Will Morgan try a switch back? He finds a slight gap. They make contact. But luckily, nothing too drastic. As Oren and Horosia now fight. Oren pushes Horosia wide to get the place. And now Warren on the inside too. Tries to get in front, but Horosia stays in front. Now he's all over the back of Oren. Will he go to the inside? Yes, he will. Oren turns in, and there's the contact. Horosia, who's normally fond of sending it a bit too late and making incidents. There's another to add to it. So it does look like the top 4 of the restart will be the top 4 to fight, but Drifting has to push a bit to get back within that 1 second. Tom is just holding on to the top 2. Look at that. He's using overtake there to try and stay within a second, which he will get. And if these two do end up having something, Tom could pick up the pieces. Warren finds himself back in 5th after all that. So good on him. And yeah, Hirozia, who we thought would be easily in the fight, has unfortunately been caught up in a few too many incidents. Morgan then gaining on Seb. Does he dare to the inside? No, he'll stay behind and nearly run into the back of the RB. But we know Morgan on the brakes is mighty and he knows exactly where to place his car. Tom, will he get DRS? Because it's over a second. As he goes wide there, that might be a warning. No, he's not got DRS. So is Morgan close enough this time? Looks to be too far behind. As to the inside, Oren versus Warren. Warren will go around the outside of Warren. Warren trying to force Oren a bit wider, but Oren's still there. And now he'll have the inside line as Warren goes wide. And they're going to remain wheel to wheel up to the hairpin. And Warren gets in front. And will Oren try and move to the inside or will he stay behind? He'll stay behind for now. So it does look like the top two will break away from Tom, who's holding on 3rd, but drifting slowly catching him with Warren and Oren close to one another and close to drifting. Oren's going to dare around the outside, but Warren keeps him covered. Such similar names. It's weird to say them so many times. Hirozia, his fight is not done yet. He could still get P5 with the penalties in front of him. Going deep there is drifting. It still says safety car in the top left, but it says that sometimes after one. Anyway, here we go with Seb. He has the slipstream. He has the DRS. And now he's going to be gaining. Here comes Morgan, should I say, on Seb. And he'll go to the inside now to try and take the lead back away from the RB. And will Seb try a switch back as Morgan does run it a little deep as Oren and Warren fight as the leaders. Let Seb back off with the switch back on Morgan. Tom drifting. Warren in front of Oren, who once again makes slight contact. That has allowed Hirozia to catch. Seb round the outside of Morgan. Will he make it stick? They leave just enough room for one another. Morgan stays tight and hooks the inside. Seb is going to hang it round the outside, but has to back off. And Morgan holds on to the lead for now, as there is a 5-car train nearly for P3. Hirozia on the inside of Oren, trying to make his way back through. Oren has the overspeed. Hirozia left just enough room, as he has to stay behind for now. Any one of these 5 could end with themselves getting a podium. It won't be Warren because he's spun off. So he's gone off exactly where Callum went off. And yeah, Callum was fuming in the chat. So I think Warren's done the exact same thing. He's just lost it on one of the curbs. So unfortunately, the 5-car battle has now become a 4-car battle. And that's one less for Hirozia, I guess, to make his way back through. Looking at the 2 leaders, Seb already nearly alongside Morgan before they begin the straight. And Seb, as he flicks the DRS open, will now take the lead back away from the Alpine. This is probably going to go right until the end. Morgan trying to still stick with him. And takes the lead, does the championship leader. Morgan will now try for the switchback, but can't quite do it. He's just going to need the overspeed now. A 7-point deficit is going to go to one of these two. Is Seb going to extend his lead to 35 points? Or is Morgan going to close it down to 21 points? It's a crucial race between these two. As Gekabel once again doesn't race. As Oren versus Drifting into turn 2. Fight for P4, and Drifting just holds on. But Oren has the overspeed, like he has done for quite a few laps on that exit. Tries around the outside of the Alpine, and he is in front. And he is going to try around the outside on better tyres. Drifting really not giving this up. He's pushing him, just trying to stay in front. But now Oren has the inside line, and now Drifting's going to have to give up the place. And Oren, great commitment. He was getting pushed through on the exit nearly there. But yeah, Oren now up in a 4th. Unfortunately, that 3-second hindering him. But he's going to try and get past Tom now. But yeah, as Gekabel misses a couple races, what turned between Morgan and Seb being the championship contenders, you involved Gekabelgan as well. But with him missing out, it's Morgan's time to gain back the ground he's missed out on. in Saudi and Australia. So a win today would be very helpful in the charge for the Alpine, who goes to the inside, takes the lead back. I think it's been about a season since Morgan made his debut, who goes wide now and gives the place back to Seb, as Drifting drops all the way down to 6th. So he loses a place to Horosia as well. Looks like he got up in a 4th in the straight, but then lost 2 positions. So Drifting really losing out to these guys. So yeah, Morgan, I think it's been a season now since he made his debut. Oren trying to go around the outside of Tom. So close to the bit of contact where you lose it on a front wheel. But brilliant commitment from Oren to go all the way around the outside. Yeah, better tyres, but still, as it... Oh, never mind. Oren's lagged behind Tom, as Horosia is fighting with his ghost. Oren to the inside. And that's unfortunate because he's lost 2 places now. So if that was Oren's lag, that's really unlucky because that's lost him the podium in 4th, and now he's going to have to do it again. So Horosia, after fighting with Oren, Drifting and Warren, finds himself back in front of them all. So now it's Horosia's turn to get the podium. As Nathan, a bit on his own, as is Ridian, as is Warren, who pitted. So yeah, maybe I can say it 3rd time lucky this time. Morgan, a season since he made his debut, I believe, round 5 in Miami, to win his 2nd and 3rd race as Drifting gets past Oren, who's falling behind even more, ghosting. So 1 season after Morgan made his debut, he's fighting for his 3rd win, and it would be his 1st win in about 19 races. Morgan takes the lead back from Seb. Horosia around the outside of Tom. Slight contact as Drifting is fighting with Oren. 6 cars, 3 battles, 1 winner. We have 7 laps to go. And Horosia now finds himself on the podium in front of Tom. Drifting back in front of Oren. But Oren and Tom looking to gain those positions back as... Oh! Tom hits Horosia off there. Horosia, who looks to not have any damage. But that did just look like Tom moved and then moved left into Horosia. So everyone's going to probably be under investigation at this rate. That was a bit uncharacteristic. As Oren did get back in front of Drifting. And I don't know if Horosia turned right to Tom and went off, or Tom went left into... That was so bizarre, but we'll have to watch that back. And if Tom does finish on the podium, hopefully we'll ask what happened. But at the moment now, it's turned into a 3-car fight for the podium, and I still wouldn't discount Horosia. You could still close up. But the fight is between the top 2. It generally looked like Tom just came over and whacked Horosia. Tom's usually one of the cleanest drivers, but that looked really weird and uncharacteristic of him. What's not uncharacteristic... What's not bad about Seb is he's taking the lead away from Morgan for probably the 22nd time on lap 22. And I don't think we have had a single lap yet, besides safety car, where there hasn't been a change for the lead. And surely Tom must be close to a penalty as the top 2 battle into turn 1. Morgan versus Seb, and I'm sure they are loving this as Oren now finds himself on the podium. Unfortunately, yes, he has that 3-second time penalty, but if he can have enough life left in those mediums compared to the 2 he's fighting on the hards, he could maybe stretch out that gap. Seb wants the challenge, Morgan wants the challenge, and they are both in contention for the World Championship. Seb, who's had a dream first 4 races, all being on the podium. First, second, first and third. Morgan, who had an unlucky race in Saudi and a bit unlucky in Australia, lost him the points, trailing Seb by 28 points. He would love to gain it back under a win to be 21 and not have it extended to 35. So this win is very crucial to get for Morgan Hughes. But it's going to go right to the end. And the trend with this game, you usually want to be where Seb is as you start the final lap. But with this kind of circuit, you can brake later. And we know how good Morgan is on the brakes. So this time in 5 laps, we are going to see who can win the Grand Prix. But this, for now, We're just going to witness more battles between the lot. As amazingly, I think this is now the first lap where there hasn't been a change on that straight. Ridian might catch Nathan at the end. Oren still holding on to third, trying to pull away. But Tom and Drifting do have the DRS. And one of these four is going to get the podium. And at the moment, it is going to be Tom. But after post-race stewarding, it might be Drifting. But again, after post-race stewarding. Drifting hasn't really done anything bad necessarily. He spun off Seb, which might have been his own fault. And he avoided Tom, which, again, isn't his fault. So, Drifting could still get the podium. And Erosia, well, I don't know. At the moment, best bet looks like Drifting. But his teammate at the moment will want the win. Close battery between the two. And they have been in a league of their own so far. 5 to go. And it is literally either of them could win this race. We set off on the straight on lap 24. Morgan Hughes versus Sebastian Ferrugia. And Seb has the slipstream as we have a yellow of Ridian, who's... okay, he's not going to catch Nathan at this rate now. Seb trying to take the lead away from Morgan. Morgan using a bit of battery this time to stay in front. Can Seb hang it around the outside? No, he'll stay behind for now. Drifting gets in front of Tom to cement his podium at the moment. Low batteries for the pair of them, as is Oren, who's trying to break away. 84% for Horosia. As the two leaders now embark in battle into turn 1. Seb round the outside of Morgan. Can he make it stick as Tom is fighting Drifting? And once again, they're going wheel to wheel through turn 1 like we've seen so many times in this race. The two leaders, as Morgan is in front of Seb, who backed off. And Tom managed to take the place back away from Drifting. So the battles with no contact are happening now, which is great to see. Ridian 3 second, unfortunately. Don't know if he's going to retire. That is still 2 points for him. Or maybe he'll just go for fastest lap. Who has it at the moment? Horosia. Huh. Seb's quite close to it, but yeah, Horosia on the mediums managed to gain a bit more, so yeah, Ridian is going for fastest lap. And could Oren potentially catch these guys? He has definitely left these guys, as Horosia's definitely caught up to them. Oren's going to need a 3 second gap on Tom, and with 3 laps to go, it's not out of the question. But if he has to do it, he is going to catch these guys. So it might not just be Seb and Morgan. It might as well be Oren. But none of these guys have time penalties apart from him. Seb retakes the lead, and Morgan sits behind for now. The more they battle, the more Oren could gain. But look at that. They gained about 4 tenths with the DRS. And if they keep at it, they might just keep in front of Oren. Oren has to double that gap with 2 laps to go. Oh, no, with 3 laps to go. Yeah. Oren 1.6 in front of Tom. Horosia all over the back of Drifting. And any mistake, any little wobble, any correction could see yourself losing time, losing a place, losing it all. Into the hairpin for the third last time. Seb leads the Chinese Grand Prix. It's been a brilliant battle so far between Seb and Morgan all race. But who is going to come out on top? Like I said, the trend so far this game is to sit behind in second on the final lap and fly past with battery and DRS, importantly, to take the win. But if Morgan gets Seb this lap and Seb gets Morgan next lap, it is looking good for Morgan. But does he want to play that game? He tried the DRS game earlier in the race when Drifting was with them. So does Morgan just sit behind for now? He is using a bit of battery to gain and keep with Seb. But he's not going to be close enough unless he sends it. No, he's going to stay behind for now. They are both going to try and save 100% battery because as much as the DRS is powerful, throughout this race we have seen, even without the DRS, you can still stick with the guy. So it is going to come down to who is better on the brakes. And the guy in second has demonstrated that a lot more than Seb has so far this season. Oren 1.4, 1.8 to Tom. At the moment, Oren is still going to drop behind him, and probably all three of them. But it's going to be close. It'll be very close. We're on the penultimate lap then. Seb leads and going for his third win of the season. Morgan wants to pick up his first win since Spain last season. After he got back-to-back wins in his second and third race in his EXFL Tier 2 career. It's been quite a while since his next win. It's gotten a bit close, a bit serious over the course of this race and this season between the two. But there hasn't actually been an actual collision or incident between them. And the trust is there as Oren slides out, as Iridian does take the fastest lap. The trust is there between these two to fight for the win, fight for it cleanly, fight for it fairly. But if they have to be aggressive, if they have to fight hard, it just has to at least be fair racing and hard racing. And hopefully it will be that. Morgan staying behind then. And it'll be up to Seb to try and keep this sort of gap for him to hold on and win. Remember, Seb's tyres are a bit younger than Morgan's. Morgan pitted on lap 8. He's going nearly 20 laps as drifting. Does get in front of Tom, but goes too deep. And loses 2 places once again. Too ambitious. And goes too deep. And that has really been his biggest fault this race. And he has lost out and lost the battles with all of those who had the potential to fight for the win. And Oren may finish in front, but we are on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Morgan has a full battery to use. Seb has about 3/4. Will it be Morgan or will it be Seb to win the Chinese Grand Prix? Will the gap go up to 35 points? Will it go down to 21 points? As they head through the hairpin for the final time. Oren. It's close between him and Tom as well. 2.7. Oren just needs to gain a couple more tenths and he will get that podium. Tom under pressure from Erosia too and drifting. Don't discount him at the moment. But the battle, all the eyes will be between Seb and Morgan. Seb sliding out as Morgan is right on the back of him. Morgan trying to take his first win of the season. And the one man that stands in front of him is the one man in front of him in the championship. We're into the final sector of the Grand Prix. The DRS detection line, they have passed. It will go to Morgan Hughes. But will the victory go to Morgan or will it be Seb? DRS will be activated now and Morgan will blast all his battery in a bid to get past Seb, riding on board with the Alpine. He goes to the outside. Can Seb do anything to defend? No. All he has to do is brake later, but he can't. Morgan has played it perfectly. A little bit of contact between the two, but no love lost. The respect is there. The trust is there. And it's going to be Morgan Hughes round the final corner. He played it perfectly. He played it smartly. And it's going to deserve him the win at China. Morgan wins as Oren is going to manage to hold on for P3. A brilliant drive from him after he got spun out. Speaking of spun out, I think Erosia got spun at the very end there. He's got no front wing. Morgan Hughes wins the Chinese Grand Prix. Seb has to settle for second. Couldn't really do anything. Oren held on for third. Brilliant drive from him. Tom P4, drifting P5. Erosia P6. Nathan another P7 in the bag. Warren points P8. And Iridian will pick up the fastest lap. And 2 more points for P9. Morgan, who, like I said, just had to sit behind in second, get the DRS. Seb didn't try anything too risky. He tried, if maybe it was a bit close, he could have gone for a send. But Morgan played it perfectly, got the victory. And Seb, well, he's still finished on the podium in every race this season. But yeah, that gap has closed a little bit more. I don't think Oren did anything penalty worthy. He, I can't remember if he got spun or he just spun on his own. But that is a really good race from Oren. After a spin to come back to finish third. And yeah, the top two proving why they are the top two as Iridian in the background just enjoying himself. along with a bunch of AI cars. On the wets, I didn't realise. So yeah, Morgan wins the Chinese Grand Prix. Seb second, Oren third, Tom fourth, Drifting fifth, Erosia sixth, Nathan seventh, Warren eighth, and Ridian will cross the line backwards. He might get disqualified. Can he make it in time? Yes! Alright, let's get the top 3 in. Actually, I don't know if I can talk to Oren because he's not on Xbox, but...
Hello, Jaden.
Hi, mate. Right, that has been the Chinese Grand Prix. There is the result. Just quickly grab the race director. Actually, I'm a bit curious. How many warnings did the top 2 get?
I got one. One
That's
for collision.
6. Morgan just got 1. And yeah, you... 2 warnings on lap 16.
One was a collision warning with Morgan.
I didn't see it, but oh well, doesn't matter.
It was down the straight. I went
Yeah.
to his inside and got a warning for clipping the rain light.
Yeah, I noticed that. A couple of times you had him on the back, but oh well.
Yeah, we did it. We did it to each other a couple of times, to be fair.
Yeah. As Morgan has joined, well, I'll just quickly go to the showroom. And we'll start off with our winner, Morgan. Are you there, mate?
There you go,
Have you included the audio?
Yes, I have.
Alright, nice one, mate. Well, I could pretty much interview both of you actually at the same time, because what a brilliant battle between you two all race. That was a joy to see. And yes, hang on. Give me a sec. Right, so it was Seb who took... Wait, who took pole?
Morgan was on pole.
Me.
Oh, it was Morgan, of course. Morgan, who took his second... You two swapped that many times in the race that I generally got it confused with the shuffle. Right, of course now, it's coming back. Right, Morgan, who took his second pole of the season, a brilliant lap to put him, of course, yes now, 2 tenths in front of Seb at the start. And then you two are in another league, just fighting the whole race. And I don't know if it was in the plan, Morgan, to just stay behind Seb until the last lap, get the DRS. But just take us through your race.
I knew I'd be quick around here. I've had like 3 league races around here already, so I knew what to do and what not to do, if I'm truthfully honest with you. I think I was I think it was a smart idea for me to box early. I have tried that in another league race where I boxed that exact lap, sorry, and it worked out for me, and it worked out for me here. I personally think anyway. Yeah, me and Seb kept swapping about 28 times in the whole race. At the start, I was trying to hold Seb up to get drifting in, but I want to get drifting his first win in EXFL, so that didn't really go down to plan. But so I decided to stay behind him. I did say to Seb, yeah, I think you want to be behind me because my straight line speed compared to his isn't the greatest. And so he didn't really want to do it. He just locked in for the final 2 laps, and I stayed behind him, and then my rear wing opened, and the rest is history, really.
Yep, you played the race and positioning very well. When the safety car came out, obviously I think that hindered you the most, because you obviously had a 4-second gap to Seb, and his challenge was going to be try and claw that down. So I'm guessing you were a bit unhappy when the safety car came out.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, I know my pace. I know what I can do around this track. I was wanting to box onto some fresh hards, but I didn't have any. I knew mediums were just out of the option, so it was like I might as well stick it out. And then I saw Seb quickly come up behind me, so I was like, "Oh, got to make a decision now." And so I decided to stay out.
Yeah, I guess there's also the opposite, like the positive to that. Obviously, you pitted the earliest, and with the safety car, you could hold on to some of that tyre life you would have lost. So there is the positive in that. Yeah, besides that, you've instead of losing 7 points and being 35 points behind Seb, you've gained and closed it now to 21. You've taken your first victory in, I think, nearly a season. I think it has literally been now a season since you made your debut in EXFL. So congratulations. It's been a few races coming now, so you deserve this one. And what a race for EXFL to return to China, and you take the win. Very well done.
Thank you, I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, on to P2. Sebastian.
Hello.
First off, well done on second on the grid and P2. You've not finished off the podium all season. That surely must be a record now. Like most podiums in a row from start of the season for a Tier 2 driver. To have 5 in a row. And including the 2 you got at the end of last season, you've now equalled the record for most podiums in a row.
Hey.
7.
That's a positive.
Set by Tier 2 Season 4 world champion. Yeah, I do have to ask, that incident you had between you and Drifting, at first glance, it looked like you just went as wide as you could to avoid him and he still went into you. Is that what happened? Or
It literally couldn't describe it any better. Any further wider, I was getting a warning.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Drifting just, he did a lot, just went a bit too wide late on the brakes. So unfortunate for him. Besides that, I don't think you got involved in much, besides, the race-long battle with Morgan. Actually, question to both of you. Did you both enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Glad there's the respect and
I mean,
shown there.
we were in a call together whilst we were battling, so.
But yeah, still showing why you two are the class of the field at the moment. So next up is Imola. How are you feeling about that?
I'm confident. But I'm confident. That's
Didn't you win Imola last season, Morgan?
I think I did. I think I went like a 2-race win streak or like
Imola
a 3-race
in Spain.
win streak. Imola in Spain, yeah.
So we will see. Imola's going to be big on penalties too, and you two are pretty good on not getting those. So we'll see.
You sure?
Okay, Seb maybe not as much. But yeah, we're approaching already nearly a quarter done of the season, and looks like you two are the top 2 at the moment for the rest to chase. So yeah, unfortunately we can't have Oren in to interview him because he's not on Xbox. But well done to Oren on a brilliant podium, getting spun, getting a 3-second, and still managed to hold off. Well done to Seb on another great podium, and well done to Morgan on finally getting that 3rd win. The race is on, the fight is on, and we will see you in 7 days' time in Imola.